Today's topic is guard your gates. Specifically, talking about, by the way, I'm going to apologize in advance. My voice is a bit challenging. So today's topic is guard your gate. And your gate, specifically, I'm talking about your brain, watching what you're putting into your brain. I kind of go on a little bit of a rampant conversation about this topic because I see so many what I call entrepreneurial frauds out there. So many people that, another word I like to call them is $50,000 millionaires, meaning people who go on social media, they have a platform, and you see them, they rent a car, or they go to their father or mother and ask for some money, and they put it on their bed and take pictures, and you see their lifestyle being beaches and all these amazing things, but they're using filters, they're using, which I'm not opposed to it, but their whole life is through a prism, if you will. And the challenge that you guys have, that I have, is knowing who's real and who isn't, because one of the topics I talk about all the time is guarding your gate as far as the information you're putting into your brain and who you're getting that information from. So one of the things I talk about a lot is to never take advice from somebody who is not where you want to be or where you are going. But the challenge for you and for I is, how do you know who is there and who's just all talk? You know, we have other things that happen. For example, I love the things people post out there. It drives me fucking crazy when I see people who have all these personal development things, especially people that I'm close to, people that I know personally, and they put all these personal development quotes out there. They're taking different things on Instagram and doing a screenshot or reposting it. But I know in their personal lives, it's not applicable to them. They're choosing their focus of what they want to grab a hold of, what they want to leave, and they talk a big game, but they're not actually doing it. So I want you to write this down if you're taking notes, to remember this. The word congruency. What I look for in everything, anybody that I follow, anybody that I go to, is congruency, is what they're putting out there reflective of their daily life. Now, I'm one of those people, for example, that one of the things I talk to you guys about is how to have the financial aspects of your life. I look at things that being in various buckets. I look at the mindset. I look at the wealth, the money creation. I talk about your health, and I talk about your giving. Those are all the four different pillars that I talk about quite often. And even though I talk about that, I talk about it because I know what it takes. It's very simple. I've had experts who I've studied from. I also look online and I find people that I look at their lives and for example, I want to look at their body. I look at things in their health and I apply those things into my life. So I know what it's about to have great health. But as I've told you guys, imagine if I tell you that obviously how harmful drinking is, but you see me having a drink or smoking a cigar or something. You know, that's not congruent. And that's why I tell everyone, to be completely honest, is that 85% of my life is what I like to call on center line, meaning I do all the things I know I need to do. I don't eat for the taste as much of the nutritional value. I get to the gym. I do all the things I should be doing. This last week, I fucked up all week. I mean, I had a huge event, went to another event, not much sleep, and I didn't do all of the things. Now, I did about 30% of the things I know I should have done last week. I didn't do all of those things because I chose to grab a hold of the time and the energy and the resource that I had from this area to put it into this area, which is to perform and do the things I had to do for the event that we did in Atlanta. So that being said, I'm congruent 85% of the time. The other 15% of the time, I do whatever I feel like, whatever I enjoy. I will have a drink now and then. I will do the things that I know aren't necessarily great for me, but that's the kind of people that I look at. When I was actually talking to Bob and David Asarno, Bob Sears, who were helping to conduct the event from Business Nitrogen this last week, and talking about congruency. And I had this story I was sharing about when I was 18 years old. I had these mentors or people that were in the company that I was with. Now, my head mentor I talk a lot about, Leroy Cox was his name, was worth a lot of money, and took me under his wing, and he was very congruent. I mean, the things that he presented were the things about his real life. And when I got to know him, the closer I got to him, the more congruent he was. But I had other people that that were in the same company that I had as my idols within that company. People that were in their 40s and 50s and 60s, people that had succeeded in a massive way financially. But I saw how they presented themselves on stage, what they talked about, and I lived my life. In fact, probably at that time, 95% on center line and 5% I deviated. And that was by choice. I was almost, I was very regimented on everything that I did. And when I started achieving success, and I was invited to go to a leadership retreat in Cancun at Club Med, and I remember walking on the beach that night after we had some drinks and spent some time socializing, and I found out the people that I had as mentors were actually shit people. They were not good people. The things they talked about were the things they were telling everyone else to do. They were not doing it themselves. And so I became a firm advocate of when I want to follow someone. Now, again, if you just see some kind of somebody reposting something and it's important and it's something you take in, that's great. But what I'm saying is when you're taking the advice from or looking at the person's lifestyle and wanting to follow that person because of what you see out there, make sure you know that person well enough to know whether they're congruent or not. And I'm not sure with you how you figure this out, but what I'm saying is that you have to understand the power of plugging into the right people. And I'm going to share with you some ideas as far as who you may be able to plug into. You might have people that you know that you can plug into, but you have to guard your gate of what you're putting into your brain, what you're bringing out. And I also look at the people that what I like to call the people that talk about, hey, burn your ships, quit your job, do something on the side, become an influencer on YouTube or on Instagram. And they paint this picture of what life is like, but I promise you, because I've met a lot of these people, I get close to these people, and I will tell you that probably 80% of them are not the real deal. It's not, let me ask you this question. Do you want me to talk about what it takes and be completely honest with you and what it takes to create wealth and actually be wealthy? Or would you rather me teach you how to look wealthy? Because looking wealthy is not that challenging. You get a couple of nice, suits or outfits. You get a nice car that you're paying payments on. It's not that you go to a hotel, you go somewhere, you get some cash, put it on the table. It's not that challenging to look wealthy. So would you rather me teach you and tell you all these fluffy things to say, hey, the key is, to travel. The key is to, become an influencer, to do all these things. Do you want me to show you and teach you how to look wealthy, or do you want me to teach you how to become wealthy? I would rather see someone who drives a 10-year-old car but has $1 million in the bank. That's more impressive to me than somebody who can get a car payment at $1,000 a month and find a way to handle it and get it done. And they take that nice car, which I see happen all the time. They park it in front of they have a $80,000 or $100,000 vehicle, and they're parking that Escalade in front of a house that's worth $125,000 to $200,000. They're putting all their money in an asset that's appreciating in value, typically about a third to a fourth of their net worth, into something that's going backwards. So again, looking in the chat window, you guys got to comment if you want me to keep keep talking. My job is to share with you what I know that works and to plug you into the people that I know are going to help you get there. And I'm going to tell you the things that you don't want to hear, things that make you feel uncomfortable, things that aren't necessarily the kosher thing to talk about. But I'm telling you those things because I know what it takes. It takes fucking work. It takes hard work. Being an entrepreneur, let's talk about the stats. You guys have heard that the average company within the first 3 years failed. Do you know what the average, for example, the other thing is this new thing called coaching, right? Life coaching, business coaching. I see people all the time on social media calling themselves a fucking coach. Why I say a fucking coach is because the average out there, the average coach makes $35,000 a year. Yet they're coaching everyone on how to make money. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, why are you following someone? In fact, my mentor used to always say, typically, those that can't do it will teach. Here's an example. So I had this guy a few years ago. He had a very successful business. He was in Forex trading as an example. He was in Forex trading, and he wanted me to go out and do seminars and kind of prep and tee it up and bring in people. He was going to pay me an obscene amount of money. It was a $20,000 package. He was going to pay me 25% of the money just to go in for an hour, once a month and go speak in some big city and bring in people. He knows that I'm pretty good at speaking, and so he said, hey, would you come in and do it? And I said, so let me get this straight. You have a program that shows people how to succeed trading on the Forex and the Forex exchange. So my question to you is, why are you charging $20,000 to teach people how to do something like that? If you actually were making a fucking shit ton of money, you would be trading yourself. Well, I do trade okay, so why are you teaching everyone else the secret sauce of what you're doing? How much money do you have in the bank? Let's compare tax returns last year. How much money do you have in the bank, not counting what you're selling for your program? They were running infomercials, doing all kinds of things on the internet to drive traffic into a free seminar. And then their goal was to close at least 15% of those people on a $20,000 program of how to trade on the Forex. There's a couple of network marketing companies out there like that. No, if you were making money, you wouldn't be showing everyone else how to do it. You would be actually doing it yourself, correct? So there's all these things that I call fraud and fake out there. Again, I like to call them, entrepreneurial frauds. I like to call them, the influencers on Instagram. I'm not saying some of them don't make money, because you can make money. I'm just saying there's going to be a correction eventually on the internet, and you're going to find out that 3/4 of the people you may look at that are posting stuff out there, sharing stuff out there, are not the real deal. So who do you plug into? That's the challenge, right? Who do you plug into that is the real deal? Because you can't always see behind the scenes. But I've been very fortunate to plug into some really amazing people. I'm going to tell you who I follow. And you can choose, you can dig in as deep as you want to. You can choose to look at and to see who's as congruent as I say they are, right? So first of all, for personal development, I think Tony Robbins is one of the best. As you guys know, I've been a firm believer, spent a lot of time with Tony over the last several years. Tony Robbins is somebody that I follow. If it comes down to sales, I love following the late Chet Holmes. Has amazing stuff out there on sales and sales tactics and techniques. Grant Cardone has some great stuff on sales. And I'm not saying I 100% agree with some of the things that he teaches and does. I'm saying when it comes to sales and a sales capacity and how to sell, he's one of the best out there. He's got a great program you can spend $100 a month for. Don't pay the upgrade fee of several $100s, but you're going to hate me if you're watching this, the people that I know from Grant's office. But you can pay $100 a month and go through the whole program in a month and go through all the sales tax and training. It's called Cardone University. It's a great program out there. You got to keep sharpening your sword, but he's someone that I follow. Tim Ferriss is somebody that I follow. I follow Bill Gates. I follow Warren Buffett. Mel Robbins is somebody that I follow. I think is very congruent in her life. Gary V. Vaynerchuk. Now, Gary V is very straight in your face, says it like it is, which I enjoy, as you guys know. This weekend, I spent some time with Ed Mylett, Mylett, worth about $300 million. Has been very successful outside of the speaking environment, is one of the best out there. These are the people that I plug into. So how do you plug into them? Just simply go to YouTube and click on and subscribe to their pages. You'll see the stuff that they put out, where they're putting out content every single day. And that's the benefit right now if you understand social media and use it to your advantage. So here's the deal. I actually stayed away from social media at a high level for years. I mean, years and years and years, up until January of this year is the first time I started really plugging into social media. Those that follow me know that. In fact, I didn't go live. I didn't share this stuff until after January of this last year. And somebody sat down and said, Corey, you can use this to your advantage. Use it to build your brand. Use it to make money. Use it to get a voice out there. You can compete with everybody if you do it correctly, where you can't necessarily compete with a company that's worth, $500 million, $1 billion plus. You can compete if you do things correctly on social media. But I also learned on social media that there's so much the people that are actually really good at this, people I'm talking about, right? Tony Robbins, Ed Mylett, Gary V, Tim Ferriss, Grant Cardone, Chet Holmes. These people, Chet Holmes obviously is now deceased, but there's all kinds of information out there that you can find. You could go in and spend every single day at least an hour, and you could never, ever get through their content, because they're putting out, each one of them is putting out at least an hour a day worth of content. So you can plug into this information and you can get the best of the best at all times. But now the people that have understood social media correctly, they're not trying to use social media just to sell. Now they're monetizing, meaning they're making money off of maybe 10 or 15%, the good ones, 10 to 15%. But 90% of the content they're putting out, maybe 85% on the high end, low end of the content they're putting out to the general world for free. So before, everyone had this attitude, I don't want to share my secret stuff. I don't want to share my good stuff, right? For me, it was like, part of my secret sauce is the stuff that I share with my own internal sales team. You got to be plugged in to work with me. But then I got the attitude, as everybody else that's really good got the attitude of, hey, let's put everything out there to the world, because it's all available. Somehow they're going to find it anyway. It's simply a different spin, a different way of looking at things. The content's never gone away. It's just a different way of looking at it and what's actually going to get you to apply it in your life and make a change. So, it's 85 to 90% of the content you're going to find out there. They're not charging anything. You're getting the access to all this information that can help you grow and expand. But what I'm going to ask you to do is, don't be a fraud. If you post something out there and you post a picture, make sure you're congruent with it. Make sure it's something you're applying and utilizing yourself versus talking a big game, because there's so much shit out there that I see telling people the wrong stuff to do. They're teaching them how to look like a multimillionaire versus fucking being a multimillionaire. Those are two different things. These people I'm talking about, Ed Mylett, Gary V, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Mel Robbins, Tim Ferriss, they all are multi-millionaires. Some of them are multi-billionaires. These are the people that are doing the right things out there to create wealth. So how do you do this? So something else you can do is this. So one of the things that I study successful people, and I ask myself, What do they do differently? And this was something very, very challenging for me. Let me ask you this question. How many of you guys actually do not enjoy reading? Be 100% honest with you. Do not enjoy reading. I hated it for years and years and years and years. I even faked it. That's something I wasn't congruent with. When my mentor would say, hey, Corey's committed, I send him one book every single week. He's got to read one book every single week. And I would tell him what that book was about. That was something that my mentor taught me when I was 18 years old. Now, I hated books. I think I read one book my entire high school years. I read one book. The rest I would scan through enough that I could do a paper on it, but that was it. I hated to read. I absolutely hated to read. So my mentor, this is before Audible and all the other stuff. So I actually had to get a book. And what he would do is he would say, here's the book you're going to read that book. Sometimes he would hand me the book every single week. Now, I didn't know this until years later, but every single person I look at, that's amazing. Every single person that I'm talking to you about, you ask them, how many books do they read a week? Now, the average person in the U.S. reads 4 to 5 books a year. That's the average. Okay, that's the average. The average CEO reads about 60 books a year. Warren Buffett reads a book every single day. Bill Gates reads a book every single day. Tim Ferriss reads 1 to 6 books every single week. Elon Musk finds the time. You would say, well, he's crazy, but he is reading 1 book every single week. Do the due diligence. Do a search online and say, how many books do these people read? And you'll see that. Success leaves clues. I'm going to ask you an honest to God question. How many books did you read last year? Or those that have followed me for a while, how many books did you read before you met me? Now, it's not me. It's just that I push this into you to say you have the most amazing wealth out there. Anything you want to learn, anything you want to get better at. And when you're in the car, now you can subscribe to podcasts, right? Hopefully all you guys are following my podcast. Bree, is it Corey Lee Official on Spotify and on Apple Podcast? I forget. But you can follow me and listen to me when you're in the car and podcasts at the gym. You can get on YouTube and watch the videos. You can get Audible and almost every single good book out there you can listen to in the car. I know when Caleb and Rachel were driving back from South Carolina, they were listening all the way to Nebraska while they were driving, listening to books. There's a wealth of information out there. We're just not tapping into it. In fact, one of my mentors years ago said it's truly sad that we live in a free society, not like North Korea, not like Germany used to be, not like all these other countries that sometimes don't allow us to be free, have the freedoms and not censoring the things that we're doing and reading. But yet we might as well be in a society like North Korea because most people aren't even reading the information that's out there. We have all this wealth of information, yet we're not doing it. So I want to challenge all of you. So, here's an example. People say, well, oh my God, reading a book a week, that's going to take too much time. How much time do you spend watching sports this week? Again, I'm asking you guys to be honest. I'm looking in the chat window. How many hours did you spend watching sports this weekend? How many hours did you spend this weekend, or let's go this last week, how many hours did you spend this last week watching television or scrolling through social media? So the average person can read 250 to 300 words about every 3 minutes, right? That's about 2 pages every 3 minutes. If you get pretty good at it, if you're half of that. But all that would basically take is, you can read 20 pages a day in 30 minutes. 20 pages a day in 30 minutes, which would get you through, a lot of books if you're actually spending an hour and a half reading. Warren Buffett, read The Buffett Way. Warren Buffett spends almost 4 hours a day reading. Bill Gates, almost 2.5 hours a day reading. Plugging information in. You think the stuff that I talk to you guys about is just stuff that I just have in my repertoire? No, it's stuff that I listen to. I learn. I'm always plugging in. I'm always doing full immersion. So I will tell you what it takes. And again, the truth of the matter is 10% of you will do it. Historically, now it frustrates the shit out of me because I don't understand when people come on and watch me, like why they don't actually do something with it. I don't know if I make them feel good or the entertainment value or why they do it. But the thing is, why do you not take action? How many of you guys have watched me for a while and hear me talk about the same shit in different ways? It's because it's not hard. It's not hard to do. It's hard to follow through in some cases because you don't have the habits to do it. And your habits are habits of doing the wrong things, of not following through, of not doing things that are uncomfortable for you. But my point is, look at love Netflix. Okay, good. 3 hours watching the Chiefs game. So Jim McNally, I'm picking on you since you commented here. If you spent 3 hours this week reading a book, would that not potentially have a lot better positive influence? I'm not saying don't do the fun things in life. I'm saying if you feel you don't have the time, you can carve things back if you absolutely have to, because you do the things that are comfortable for you, that are entertaining for you. I'm saying if you want to control your life, now don't get me wrong. If you are exactly where you want to be in your life, financially, your health, your ability to give, creating a legacy for your family, if you're exactly where you want to be, then don't change a fucking thing. But if you want to have a better life, you've got to fucking do something. You cannot be this so-called entrepreneur that has a side hustle. Now, I don't even call it a side hustle. If you're putting in an hour, 2 hours a week, but you're spending 3-4 hours a day watching television, an hour and a half, 2 hours on social media. You're spending 3-4 hours every weekend minimum watching sports. You're doing all this side things, going out and partying every single weekend. But yet, I want to have these better things. I want to do these things. I'm simply telling you the truth, which is you got to work hard for a season. You got to compress time. Success loves speed, momentum, and massive action. That's what it takes. So the first thing is guarding your gate of who you're allowing to plug into you. Don't follow anyone that's not congruent. Don't follow anyone that has a different lifestyle than they actually show on screen or on stage. So find the right people. Number one, guard your gate. Number two, don't be a fraud. Don't be a fraud. Now, I think every single one of the facts that Ed Mylett was talking about, and let me ask you this question. Even if you're really good at what you do, and I'm going to ask this question, I know Ed Mylett asked it on stage, and I'm going to ask you guys the same question. How many of you feel like a fraud at times? Feel like a fraud. And you put this image out there and you feel like a fraud. And I'm going to tell you to be quite transparent with you. When I have an event, for example, and I get on stage, I feel like I'm a fraud to a degree. I feel like I'm a fraud because my life is not 100% where I want it to be. And there are times that my own brain, even though I'm talking to you guys about how to control your brain, how to control your habits, how to be a gladiator, how to do all these things, and there's times that I let myself off the hook. There are times that I don't do the things that I should be doing. But that's also why I like doing this, because guess what? When you do it and you learn something as if you have to teach it, you learn it in a whole different capacity. The shit that I'm telling all of you guys every single time I get on with you is the shit that I'm reprogramming, constantly putting into my brain. It's the stuff that I should be doing anyway. Right? So only one of you feels like a fraud sometimes? I think you're lying. I think every single one of you at times feel like a fraud in certain areas of your life. Right? I think all of you at some capacity feel like a fraud at certain areas of your life. So I understand that. I get that. But here's the other challenge. I wish on social media, anyone giving advice about money has to post the reality of their tax return last year. Would that not make a difference? In my own company, when one of the things I caution people on and I get upset about is people will talk to someone else, say, well, how would you do this? Or how are you selling this? Or how are you presenting this? And I know, because I'm the CEO of the companies, I know what their financial situation is. I know whether they've closed big deals or not. I know whether they've succeeded in a massive way or not. I know whether they're a 6 or 7 figure income earner or not. You don't know that, right? You don't know that. And that's why I'm very selective in people that I actually plug into, those that I can validate and measure and know, at least at a high level, their successes and know what they're actually doing. So be careful of plugging into people that are frauds, that are not the right deal, or people that are positioning this lifestyle. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't see me posting the negative shit, right? Had a mind funk today, whatever else. Maybe I should. I don't post that stuff because I don't want to fuel negativity whatsoever, or give it the time of day, or give it light, or give it water and let it grow. That seed of doubt, that negativity. I post positive things like everybody else does, right? But make sure that you have your life as close as possible in congruency before you're trying to tell somebody else what to do or how to do it. And that's the challenge of social media. So people can be somewhat anonymous. No one's ever going to find them again. They're not going to beat the shit out of them, and they can post whatever they want to post. And they can be negative, be a hater, be whatever they want to be. So here's my ask to you guys. Could you commit to reading more? Could you commit to plugging into social media more in a positive way by following the people that actually make a difference? If you guys want to see some people that I follow, go to Instagram, go to my followers, and scroll through and find the people that are making a difference. You'll notice that, except for some friends that I have on there, which most of them are in this capacity or level as well, most everyone that's out there is a massive mover and shaker, a massive player on this planet. I follow the people that are making a difference because the people that I choose to associate with are people that are going to fuel me, not drag me back. People are going to put fucking gasoline on my fire versus telling me, Corey, you're burning the candle at both ends. You can't do it. You know what I say to them? No, I fucking cut the middle of the candle. I'm burning from the inside out as well as the outside in. People that, again, sometimes they mean well. Sometimes people around me mean well, so you can't push yourself to this level. You can't do that. Well, guess what? I can fucking do anything that I put my mind to. And how do I know that? Because I've studied the successful people, and I know that most of my successes have come from where anyone else would have hit a brick wall. But I keep pushing. I find a way over and under it, through it. I find a way to get through it because I know that it takes the tenacity and the push and the drive. And typically if it's a no, it just means no, not yet. But if I did find an answer, what would it be? The questions, remember I talked about a few weeks ago, the questions you're asking yourself. But if I did know the answer, what would that answer be? So number one, choose what you're going to do. Read more. Read more. Could you, in theory, find 30 minutes to 45 minutes a day to read? Type in the chat window if you believe that. Could you, in theory, find 30 to 45 minutes a day to read? What if every single person watching this, so let's say over the next few weeks, we'll have, let's say, just on Facebook alone, we'll have maybe 5, 6, 10,000 people watch this, and all of social media. I'm talking actually watch it, not just, brush past it, which will have a couple, 200,000 people that'll scroll past stuff, but actually watching it. Imagine if every single person watching this just committed themselves. Could you not commit yourself to, even if you're a very slow reader, instead of the average, you're below average like I was when I started out, and what could you not commit to 10 pages a day? What if you committed to 10 pages a day, 70 pages a week? Would that not improve your life? Would that not improve your life? 10 pages a day. Now, if you want to step it up, 20 pages a day. It may take you longer than it might take somebody else, but who gives a shit? You get an Audible, right? Get an Audible and listen to the books in the car. Can we not all do that? Can we not all find times to grow? Because we are either growing or we're dying. I'm always sharpening my sword. So number one, cut the bullshit out. Number two, guard the gates, know who you're following. Number three, read at least 10 pages a day. 10 pages a day. Number four is at least, I actually got this from this last week's event. What's his name from Marquis Jets and, gosh, I forget what his name is now. I just was looking at something he posted earlier. But could you not every single month create one new habit, one new positive habit every single month? Again, every single month, one new habit. So if that one habit is, for example, I know I should be drinking this much water, and I drink that much water. If my habit is getting to the gym every single day for 30 days, that's one habit. See, sometimes we bite off too much and we don't actually follow through. So, thank you, Jesse Itzler. So could we not every single month create one new habit and follow through with that habit that month and keep growing, keep learning? So one new habit, and then every single 6 months, I want you to plug into something big, something that I call full immersion. An event of some sort. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's somebody else. If it's Tony Robbins, if it's whatever. I'm planning on taking 40 to 50 people in April to a Tony Robbins event. It doesn't matter what it is. Something that's going to grow you, expand you. Now, why do I say full immersion? In fact, we were talking to a guy who works for Gulfstream, and he was at the event this weekend from Gulfstream. He ate lunch with me, and he was talking about, he actually was the one that helped Grant Cardone get his jet. And he was talking about this, but just talking about it at a high level, that the power, I asked him, I said, the reason I love events like this is because how often do you get to extract yourself from all your day-to-day surroundings, all the things you're doing, and surround yourself with like-minded people that are willing to spend $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 to come to a weekend event and actually grow and expand themselves. The people that you meet, as well as the omnipotent point of view on your life. When I get a chance to spend 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours in full immersion, which I do I spend every single year, I spend at least 10% of my time at events. 10% of my time, because I've got to keep sharpening my sword. I've got to be better so I can present more, so I can create better, so I can do better things, create better content. I'm always wanting to grow and expand. So could you not, if you truly had a desire to, how much would it pay dividends if you committed 10% of your money to growing? As I have now since I was 18 years old, 10% of my money, some years it was higher, some years lower, now it's fairly high, but 10% of your money and 10% of your time to growing and expanding. So if you commit yourself to every 6 months, if you don't schedule, it's not going to happen. Look 6 months ahead from now. So by, let's say, May, June, you've got something you schedule, you pay for, you commit yourself to plug into something full immersion for 30 hours, for example. So, for example, you're here with me 30 minutes a week. It would take you, for the same situation, it would take you almost 2.5 years to plug into what you could get in a full week, right? In a full week, plugging into full immersion, depending on if they're weak or they're strong as far as the amount of hours they put you through it. Or even, could you not compress 1 year, 2 years into 1 week of some kind of an event, which you could go to a 3-day event, 4-day event, whatever, but plug into something every 6 months of somebody great. It will help you pull yourself back. At the event that I was at, the first 2 hours, I had a whole page of notes, not necessarily on what they were talking about. All of a sudden, I had these epiphanies and these ideas and these concepts. Something else maybe spurred an idea, and it was worth $1 million to me in my business, probably $2 or $3 million over the next few years. Just this idea, this concept. So schedule yourself every 6 months to full immersion, because you get momentum. You're around like-minded people, the relationships you meet. And so every 6 months, plug into something. I mean, it may cost you $3,000, $4,000, counting travel and everything else. But what is it worth to grow yourself? What'd you pay for college? What'd you pay for education? What'd you get on the backside of that? I am who I am today because of the stuff that I plugged into for years and years and years, and continually keep plugging into. So let me reel everything back to remind you guys of what I'm asking you to commit yourself to. Number 1, don't be a fraud on social media. Don't be one of the ones fueling this. If you don't actually buy into it, your life isn't congruent with it, don't post it. Number 2 is guard who you're following. Make sure they're as congruent as you possibly can see. Number 3, plug in and read every single day, at least 10 pages, 20 pages for those that want to step things up. But my goal is, looking at all the masters out there, I've read 1 book a week almost consistently, and some weeks a lot more, some weeks a lot less, but 1 book a week I've committed myself to since I was 18 years old. So for over 2.5 decades, I have read 1 book every single week. Do you think that's impacted me at all in my life? Number 3 is commit at least every 6 months. Every 6 months to plug into something. Actually schedule it today, schedule it tomorrow, find something you actually want to plug into and be a part of, and plug into it. Every 6 months, full immersion. Full immersion. And then the other part of it is every single month, grow 1 area of your life by creating a new habit that's going to improve your life. Something anybody can do. A new habit of some sort that's going to improve your life. Could be the habit of reading. Could be the habit of cutting back all your time on all the frivolous shit. Could be the habit of something with your kids. It could be the habit of plugging into personal development every single day. All the things we talk about, grab a hold of one of them and master that one. And the next month, keep doing that and compound it and compound it and compound it. You may think you've grown 12% a year, but in reality, you've grown hundreds and hundreds of percent because you're compounding one after the next after the next. And you will create true momentum because what you do in one thing, you do in all things. How you handle one situation, how you handle all situations in your life. If you're a procrastinator, you hit your snooze, you hit your alarm clock every single morning, guess what? That's how you're going to treat the things you should be doing in life. The things you should be doing in business, the time with your family. That's how you're treating everything. So if you create these habits, it creates momentum, and all of a sudden, every single thing you add into your life simply will grow upon the thing you did prior to that. All right, guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate all of you. Commit yourself to excellence. Commit yourself to not following and not being a part of these entrepreneurial frauds, these people that tell you the things that you want to hear, or all these different posts. I will tell you what the funny thing is. If everyone that was out there was posting shit actually took action, this life would be changed. This whole world would be changed. The challenge is people are the people that love going out there on social media and just posting shit but never applying shit. Don't be one of those people. Actually read it. Say, is this something I'm committed myself to? Is this something I'm committed to excellence on? Is this something I'm applying into my life? If it is, great. If it's not, don't share it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.